Hi, this is Eric Chase, afternoon host on Cumulus Media Toledo's Q105, and your host for another edition of 68 Words. This, by far, if I'm allowed to have a favorite episode, this is it. It's one of our longer episodes, as I couldn't get to know enough about Noah Henderson. A little boy for a long time, didn't talk, but he was definitely listening. And Stella from the Ability Center became one of his best friends to make Noah feel just like everybody else.
Regular stimuli that might be, we might not pay any attention to is very stressing to him. For instance, we were at this farmer's market in the middle of the week during the day, no one there, and he was hungry, needed something to eat. So we sat in this little tiny cafe, no one else there, and he was just having a moment. Make it stop, make it stop. We're like looking around, and the first thing we do, you just go like this, and you're trying to figure out where's the noise coming from, and there was nothing. And finally, he was like, it was the ice machine across the room, slightly humming.
People, places, and spaces doing disability differently, sharing first-hand experience in our podcast. Inspired by the 68 words that sparked the disability rights movement, learn where it started and what's next. Hi, my name is Stuart James, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Ability Center, and welcome to 68 Words.
Are you ready to begin?
I am a nervous talker, so might have to cut me off.
That's okay. The more that, and we're rolling right now, the more you talk, the better this podcast will be. Let's welcome Jennifer here to talk about Noah and his story, and then we'll get to Stella as well, correct?
Yes, Stella.
But also Lynx, which is a person that you'll talk about. First of all, thanks for taking some time to share your story and Noah's story here on 68 Words.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we go any further, Jennifer, have you ever been on a podcast before?
No, I have not.
You were telling me before we got going that Noah loves He's 12 years old?
11.
11 years old.
Yep.
He loves podcasts.
Loves podcasts.
So what kind of credibility, what kind of cool mom points do you get for being on a podcast?
Oh, he was pretty excited this morning that I was going to be on here. He was all excited, and he doesn't understand why everybody doesn't love podcasts. He just finds them very informational. You can learn so many things through podcasts.
You can. Let's talk about, he likes informational things. He is an 11-year-old with autism, correct?
Correct.
Tell me about what it's like when Noah was a little baby and then a little boy, and when the diagnosis came along, and how you adjusted and how you live life with Noah.
Oh, my. Well, that's a journey. That really is a journey.
Good thing you said you're a nervous talker.
I am a very nervous talker. Noah was, from day one, he just never was consolable, cried all the time, never slept, and had major water sensory as a baby. Most babies love water. He would scream. And, blood-curdling screams. I'm pretty sure the neighbors were kind of like, what's going on over there, And this continued all through the years. I eventually found a swim instructor that specialized with children with special needs and autism, and that helped get him over some of that sensory. And as he got older, he was able to express that it was painful for him. So now we know, and he's 11, so we're better. But that was a journey, and we couldn't run our vacuum cleaner the first 2 years he was born because that was a trigger for him. He was just a very intense baby and toddler, and then as he got a little bit older, I think I knew early on, something is bothering him, and doctors tend to be like, oh, he's an infant, he has colic, or he has this and that, and it just continued on. And I just kept reaching out and researching, and I think I pretty much, spent my life trying to find what was bothering him, because I wanted him to feel better.
Sure.
And never slept. I think
you didn't, or
no,
he did?
I think neither one of us did. It was probably the first 6 years was very difficult, very exhausting.
To roll backwards a little bit, you went to the swim instructor who worked with kids with autism before you stumbled onto a diagnosis, just because you thought you might be able to help, right?
We were in the process. So Noah started with speech therapy services and occupational therapy services. And it was really hard to get that diagnosis. We were on a wait list with the hospital system for a very long time. The minimum wait was 18 months. And, Noah didn't really talk until he was 4. And, his favorite word was car. So everything was car. So, the keys were car, the microphone was car, everything was car, and he had this obsession with everything round when he was younger. So he had all these cars in a pile, and all the wheels were in another pile. So we'd pull him off with his teeth, and we'd have to watch him, and it's just, and he always lined everything up, and he always built these amazing roadways and structures out of markers and crayons, and so it's like, everything kept pointing to autism, but I just couldn't get anybody to acknowledge it. And then we were on this long wait list. School started, and that's when everything really kind of took a turn, because, he couldn't handle being in a classroom with other children. Mm-hmm. The noises were too loud, the people were too much. And we had a great superintendent of the preschool that really just put her arms around us and acknowledged that there was something there that he needed help with. And we started the process. Initially, we were denied an IEP because he just didn't meet the criteria. And we kept searching and got into a center down in Detroit to get him tested, Detroit Children's. And that really opened the doors because we got that diagnosis.
Kind of like an aha moment.
Yes, and a lot of people, it depends on who you are. Some people are very sad when they get that diagnosis. I cried because I was so thankful that somebody finally believed me.
You know where the goalposts are.
Yes, and I could get the help that he needed. Like, I could continue to get these resources. And it just really was a moment for me and my husband.
What's his name?
Jason.
Okay. Don't want to leave him out.
Yeah. He's a big part of this.
I can share a sympathy story, as we're a bit different. When I was chasing what was wrong with me and why I had these, I call them thunks. Like I always say, the psychological calculus never added up. My life is really good. Why do I feel down and blue for no reason? So I went to a therapist, and she said, you know what you're describing is bipolar 2. She explained what that was, and I basically got up and high-fived her. And she's like, that's not usually the response I get.
Right, yeah.
But I knew who the villain was, so
yes.
I could attack the problem. So I can totally relate how you might have been looked at a little strangely when you were excited to get a diagnosis.
Yes. It was just, I felt like I had been heard, and now we could continue this journey together to help him through life, help him be successful, and get him through all the hurdles he's going to have. And it was just very rewarding for us. And I just remember both of us walking out and just kind of taking a deep breath and going, oh, yes, because we had battled so long with people just saying, no, there's nothing wrong with him. And we took him to one specialist, and he said there was nothing wrong with him. And we're like, what?
He keeps saying car repeatedly. There's nothing wrong?
Yeah. And ultimately we found out, children like Noah, who's highly intelligent.
I can tell.
Noah's very, very, very smart.
I want to throw an ask out at you right now.
Yeah.
Can I hang out with him?
Absolutely.
Ask him if he wants to come visit my radio show. I've never met this kid, but I really like him. Have you ever heard the word infovore?
No.
I'm an infovore. I'm the person that goes on Wikipedia and 7 hours later, and I too like facts and learning things, and then my escape from that is all my nerdy superhero stuff. There's no in between. But please extend another podcast, my podcast invite to him if he wants to be on it.
He would absolutely love that. Noah would love that so much, and I think that you two would have a lot to talk about.
I know of Noah for 7 minutes, and I'm already excited to meet him. When did he turn into a little boy, and there was more than car, and started talking, and maybe played with other kids?
Well, with Noah, I would say age 4 was the big moment where, all of a sudden, car wasn't the only word. And then just one day, this amazing little boy that we knew was in there was talking like he was this little professor. And he had all these big words and all these big sentences. And, then we couldn't get him to be quiet. We were just like, oh my goodness, you want him to talk. And then when they do, they don't stop. But he never stopped. He
had a couple of years of sentences and things he wanted to say backed up.
And I did all the services. I did, early on, came to the house and they kept saying, they're in there. Those words are in there. He just, his mind goes so fast because he's got so much he's thinking about that he cannot get it out. And I'm like, no, he should be talking, he should be talking by now. But when he turned 4, it's like everything just kind of changed. And that was also when we found out like how well he could read. Like, we never taught him to read. He just did it. We never taught him how to write his name. We never taught him how to add, to write his ABCs. It was all this 4 year, when he hit 4, that all these amazing things happened. And what was so interesting about it was that he would be like, do you remember this time when I was this age? And it would have been like some sort of meltdown that had happened. And he would tell me why that happened. And we're just like, that's why you were acting that way, or that's why this happened. So 4 was a big year, and that was the year that he started preschool, and we started to get services for him too,
This sounds like the archetype of what we have seen in movies and TV and entertainment of the autistic kid that is a savant beyond his years. And we know that there's a spectrum now. And have you ever had Noah's IQ tested? I know that sounds like a crude question, but if I were to, there's the light. There's the light. I'm going to stand up.
There we go. Had to do a dance for a minute.
Can I, and I know we don't do things by IQ anymore, but I'm just utterly fascinated by this little boy. Well, not little anymore. He's got to have an IQ of like 212. And he's going to get us he's going to get us out of the solar system, right?
Well, space was his big thing for many years. And he still goes back to space. Space is always there.
Lean a little closer if you would. Get closer to the mic. No, you're good. You're good.
So, with Noah, when he was officially diagnosed, the doctor said, he is gifted, and we can see these aspects, and they said that, but because there are other things that hold him back, we may never know how intelligent he is. And as proud as I am of him and how great it is that he helps me understand things and explains things to me, it's never something that I've focused on as far as with, other children or other parents. Noah's pretty good at advocating for himself and letting people know when they're wrong, which sometimes can work in his favor, and sometimes not.
This is like a little me. This is literally like a little me.
Yeah. And he gets mad if he is wrong, and he's going to buck at you. He's going to try and figure out a way to make it right, even if it's a wrong answer.
And we're here to talk about Stella and how Stella has helped Noah and how Jennifer and Jason found out about Stella. But I have so many questions about, maybe I should save this for our little visit, but I'll ask one more that is racking around.
Absolutely.
Is he his own best friend?
Yes. He wants friends, and he socially tries, but it's
exasperating.
It is. Back to that 4-year mark when he just was on the playground with the other children, and I got the phone call that he wanted the other children to play Titanic, so he pushed him off the jungle gym, and to him, that's how you played, and as he gets older, he tries to hold back a little bit more, but he is definitely his own best friend besides Miss Stella.
I'm the same way. I have when I was chasing the remedies for my diagnosis, my dad had pointed out, you don't have dogs around. So like one of my dogs definitely saved my life. I know I have two. I will always have dogs. They're part of what keeps me going well, in addition to my medication and whatnot. When I was younger, I'd do something that most 20-somethings didn't do. I went to the movies by myself. And I would tell people that, and you would think I just pulled my pants down in front of them. I'm like, what's wrong with it? We just sit there in the dark, and you're not supposed to talk during a movie anyway. And then I did more and more things by myself. I'll never forget when I was in my late 20s, I was like, I sit at home and I drink a bunch of alcohol. And they're like, you drink alone? And that hurt me because I was like 27 and you
right.
And then the light went on in my early 30s. I was like, that's not an issue. I do everything alone.
Yeah, and that's okay.
It is. So,
if that's where you're comfortable and that's where you're the happiest, and, when you said the movies, that's what we do. I mean, we pick the least busiest time and what's going to be most comfortable for him. And it's usually, a time of day in the middle of the day where he can just enjoy the movie. And if someone's being loud, he's going to get really frustrated really quickly, and he's going to let whoever that knows, whoever it is that's doing that, he's going to let them know really quickly that this is not the place for that. Why are you talking during a movie? You do not talk during a movie. You miss something, and he's going to be that rigid about it.
Meet people.
No filter.
Hey, can you not rustle your M&Ms so loud, please?
Thank you. Yes. Oh yeah. Heaven forbid. That's a whole nother topic. We start talking about food.
Let me give you another brief anecdote. So I go to Panera. I drink my coffee every morning. I'm sure you're very routine oriented, right?
Oh yes. Very structured.
Almost down to the minute. On Wednesdays, there is a group of 20-something guys. They come in, and it's like a small Bible group. And I don't say that to demean the content, but I know the content very well because they speak at their volumes. Unfortunately, it's not even loud. Yeah. Their voices just carry, and it grates on me so much. I'm sure.
Oh, you and Noah.
You hear everything, right?
And Noah, just so you know, with Noah having, he has the autism, but he has sensory processing disorder too. So, regular stimuli that might be, we might not pay any attention to is very stressing to him. When he was younger, for instance, we were at this farmer's market in the middle of the week during the day, no one there. And he was hungry, needed something to eat. So we sat in this little tiny cafe, no one else there, and he was just having a moment. Make it stop, make it stop. We're like looking around, and the first thing we do, you just go like this, and you're trying to figure out where's the noise coming from, and there was nothing. And finally, he was like, it was the ice machine across the room slightly humming. That we wouldn't even, but...
I try to be very careful with my words, and I'm very responsible and thankful for the platforms that I have. And I tried not to make light of the situation of COVID, where people were literally dying. People's lives were changing forever. They still are. Yeah. But one of the positives, other than people paying attention to their mental health during it, was the world is made for extroverts. And I think briefly, people realize that there are other people that are introverts, and the world got quieter. It was nice for me in a lot of ways. And I know it was really challenging for people, but I'm glad at least some of those people realize that there are others like them that don't have fun the same way. Was there any of that in Noah during the COVID times, as literally the world got quieter?
I think for Noah, COVID was a huge stressor for a lot of people. And for him in the beginning, it was a very huge stressor because Noah had knowledge of how viruses started. And,
he was upset.
Yeah.
He was angry at the people. Mm-hmm. He could have fixed it.
We stopped watching the news when it first broke because I knew where it was going.
Yeah.
And so then when it hit the schools and it shut down, it was devastating for him because it was the first year that he had a teacher that understood him. So there was a part of him that really struggled because he felt like I finally liked school, and here we are. And then when it hit, he was content being home, but in his mind, it was a school year. These months he should be in school, so he couldn't break away from that.
Right.
So it was like he was content building his Legos, doing his drawings, reading his books, but he knew on the school calendar that that's where he was supposed to be, or, the yearly calendar from this month to this month, we should be in school. So he really, really struggled with that a lot.
His rigidity
He's very rigid, yeah.
That was completely disrupted. I hope some of these things I throw at you, he can, when I share my mental health challenges, I am by no means a clinician. All I aim to do is to share things and my experiences, because I can do so freely that other people can apply to their lives, so they can take the anguish that I went through and do it a little easier. I know my closest friends are the ones who don't push me. They know where the limit is. If Eric says he doesn't want to go, keep pushing. You're not going to go. And they get my idiosyncrasies. And I hope he has friends like that now. And when he gets older, or when you and Jason are long gone, I hope he finds that a group like I did that just let him be him for him. And if he doesn't want to do something that everybody else is doing, they're not going to give him a hard time. They're just going to know that that's Noah.
Yeah. And I think that's important is that, we're not all the same. Mm-mm. And we don't all fit in the same box. And, Noah, usually if Noah doesn't want to do something, there's a reason. And if you need him to explain it to you in a long drawn out story, he's going to justify his actions, and I'm confident he's going to find his people. I do. I think Noah has goals.
What are his goals?
Depends. He definitely knows he wants to be an engineer, and the past 2 years it's really been focused on structural civil engineering, and he loves architecture and space. He used to want to go into space, but then he decided that, bad things could happen in space, and he gets motion sick, so he needs to be, that's a back burner thing for now. He's still going to do something. And he wants to change something in the world. And I feel he will. What that might be, I'm not sure. Maybe he'll build a famous building someday.
He'll work at NASA.
At NASA. He might, be doing that. I really push the medical thing. I'm like, you could, because he loves physics and science, and that's not happening. You want to talk, germs and cells and bacteria. I got to do that. I have to go to school for that in order to be this. Mm-hmm. And he just has always loved to build. That's just been from minute one, I think. That
he can build rockets for NASA.
He could. Yeah, he very well could.
We're here to talk about Noah. Obviously, we got the backstory, but also Stella. Stella, as I mentioned, my dogs are an integral part of my life, and Stella is of his. How did you find out about the skilled companion dog that is Stella, which is different from a service dog?
Yes. Kind of, the story on how I came about pursuing an assistance dog, a skilled companion dog is, we had a dog. We had a big old basset hound, and we'd had since Noah was little, and they were just buddies, did everything together, and he was never bothered by Noah when Noah was having his moments and he was having his upsets. And I think, I had reached a point, for me, I'm that parent that, how can I help him? So my brain never shuts off, and I'm working on that. But, how can I help him? What can I do to help him succeed and give him the tools he needs? Not how can I fix him, but how. And I was just having a day, and I just felt like, he was in OT services, he was in speech services, mental health, behavioral services. He was wearing compression vests that hold him tightly and give him big hugs all day to just try and release some of that stress and anxiety that he was feeling all the time. And I felt like I had exhausted all of my resources, and I was just really having a rough day, kind of beating myself up, like, there's got to be something out there. And he had a moment that day, and it was a rough one. And our dog just went over there, and he had a big old nose, and he'd nose him and lick all his tears away, and just kind of like, hey buddy, you need to calm down. And I just had this moment where I remembered where our daughter had she'd had a traumatic experience with some dental procedures when she was young. She's 22 now, so she's quite a bit older. And I remembered that I had seeked out a dentist and found a dentist with a therapy dog, this little Chinese crested hairless dog dressed in dresses. And I remembered that dog got her over that trauma and those anxieties that she was feeling. I mean, she would get sick to her stomach when she knew she had to go in for a cleaning. It was really rough. And I thought, an assistance dog, why didn't I think of this before? So I started doing research for assistance dogs with children with special needs and autism, and the benefits and everything. And so it was an easy decision for us to apply for Stella, but we had our Basset, and they were 2 peas in a pod. So, I said, when he passes, then we'll pursue that. So he had passed, and, we gave ourselves a little bit of time, and Noah was really just struggling. He was so lost without him, and school was difficult, and just life for Noah was really difficult. And I said, I'm not ready. Really missed our Basset. I said, but he's ready. He needs this. And we started the process, and a year later, we got Miss Stella.
I remember the pain of my first dog dying more than other pain, probably because it was very pragmatic. My mom passed away of lung cancer, and I'm sure Noah is very pragmatic as well. It was like with my mom, didn't work out, didn't take care of herself, smoked a lot. Lung cancer was inevitable. So the math was that. But so I'll have to show you some pictures when we wrap up. What was the Basset Hound's name?
Elliot.
I had Tequila.
Oh, Tequila.
I forget my age, but my dad raced home from work one day to take Tequila to be put down because he didn't want me to see it. And I was wrecked, and I still feel that pain more than losing. And I haven't lost a lot of relatives or friends, thankfully, but I can feel the pain. I can remember the walk home from school and waiting for what my dad was going to tell me like it was yesterday. So I get Elliot, but I'm glad. Yeah. The bad thing is dogs don't live a long time. The good thing is we can keep getting them, and
yes,
we keep Elliot's memory alive. Yeah. And there's a little bit of him and Stella. Was it love at first lick on the face for Noah and Stella?
Oh my goodness. So Noah does Agility Angels therapy
here at the Ability Center.
Yeah. So he'd been doing that for a while, and Stella's trainer, Kim, she runs the program, and she had a dog in mind, but she wanted Noah to meet the dog. She wanted to see how they connected. So we didn't tell Noah. So she brought Stella to agility class and asked Noah if he would run her, that she was new to the program and wanted to know if he would run her for the day. And of course, they just hit it off. And Stella really loves agility. Stella has a lot of energy. So she gets kind of crazy out there, and you have to redirect her a lot. And Noah just thought that was just so funny. And to hear him laugh, like he has this contagious laugh when you hear him laugh, and it was so nice to hear that. And we don't always get that. We didn't always get that until Stella came, and so the process kind of started from there. They called us. I'm not sure. A couple weeks later, I think it was, and told Noah that he had a match. And Jordan, she's the coordinator, and she was so excited to tell Noah that it was Stella, the dog he met. And he was just so excited. He was so happy, and when he got to see her for the first time and come in and do like the meet and greet, that was, technically the first time, because they got to sit down and cuddle, and she is his perfect match.
Yeah.
She's a little stubborn. He's a little stubborn. She she can get a little sassy. He gets a little sassy back at her. So they kind of have this unspoken communication, and she's really taught him empathy, and so he'll think about her. I'll be like, oh, look at Stella, and that's something that we didn't see before with Elliot, our other dog, and I think Agility Angels did help with that too, because he works with the dogs, and it gives them responsibility. And Stella is his, and he took on that responsibility. And one great thing about Noah being so rigid and so structured is he follows the rules. He's a rule follower. So when we had our training and they said, you have to exercise her every day, you have to do her, keep up with her skills and work with her, and he follows those rules. 2 days a week, he gets Wednesdays and Fridays off that they don't do their skills, and he really has taken this to heart. And we weren't sure, with him being young, how he would do with that. Every morning before school, he feeds her. That's his job. I very few times have I had to feed her in the mornings. That's kind of like their thing. And every night he brushes her. I mean, it's so heartwarming to see him care about someone or something so much. Yeah. Because, God love him. But, I always say, he's got Frank Sinatra syndrome because it's all about him most of the time. It's, Noah, 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 even though he doesn't mean it to be. And he looks out for her. Yeah. Cares for her.
I get it. I hope there is never a train bearing down on the family, because you and Jason are getting pushed in front of it if he's got to save Stella.
Oh, and he will too. He will.
I love my best friends, but if it's my dogs or you guys, sorry.
No, we're back burners for sure. We're back burners. And it's so funny because Noah's a germaphobe. He's all about hands, and it took us a while, because you give her the treats, and labs like the drool, and what dog doesn't when they're getting a treat? And when we did the training, one of the other clients made him these little towels to hook on his treat bag to wipe his hands, because it was so apparent that it drove him crazy. And now she slimes on his hand, he'll wipe it on his pants or go about his business. And, we always say he has a Stella blanket because, labs shed. And he's always got dog hair on him. Yep. And we thought, oh, how's that going to go with Noah, No, he just walks around. It doesn't bother him a bit. He'll be covered with dog hair from head to toe. And I'll be let roll you. I'm fine. And so she's helped him kind of get past some of these things that prior to her were an issue. It's kind of broke him out of that shell a little bit to be flexible. How
about I'm fine with my dogs, and I pick up poop all the time. Not with my hand. I think actually yesterday I had to get a urine sample for my little dog, and I think I may have drank out of that cup without washing it where I got his urine sample. And I'm like, well, all right. Has he ever been, and I mean this seriously, has he ever been stuck in a bathroom before because he didn't have sleeves and there was no paper towel to pull the handle to get out?
Well, up until, recently, we, actually, I think my husband still goes in the public bathrooms with him, but he usually won't use those because, germs, people, and the sounds of the toilets flushing and the dryers, he'll hold it all day long if he can, unless we make him. We're like, no, we've been gone all day, you need to go, and then it's usually an issue. But if he's in a bathroom at home or whatever, and I forgot to put the towel back up because I was changing towels, he'll stand there in the bathroom screaming my name. I'll be in the other side of the house, and I'll be like, what? And he'd be like, you didn't put a towel up, and he's just dripping water everywhere. Like, he will not wipe it on his clothes or his pants and dry his hands off. That's what towels are for.
Mm-hmm.
He's very...
He likes it as it is, and I hope he is writing you up for all these indiscretions.
Oh yeah.
What else has Stella taught him? Give me something else. You mentioned the empathy. Anything?
Stella has, Stella... The best way, whenever someone, asks us, how's it going with Stella when we first got her and stuff, the one word that just kept coming out of our Jason and I's mouths was, it's just truly amazing, the transition that she has given Noah. This is a young boy who, his anxiety was so high, his panic attacks were like, crippling. I mean, it just horrible for him. And his insomnia was just at a point where we had put off medication as long as we could. And, we didn't want to do that at a young age unless we had to. So he was struggling so badly. And the panic attacks were just increasing, and he was starting middle school, and he was afraid. It was a new teacher, new school, new rules. It was going to be his first time trying a general education classroom since he was in kindergarten. Lots of changes, and I had to pause, because when I reflect back, it's hard for me not to well up with tears and get emotional, because she's truly changed his life. Like, it is just amazing. His insomnia is, very few times do we struggle with his insomnia now. And usually if he's struggling, she lays over the top of him. So she lays across his body, crossways, and so it gives him just that little added pressure, and he loves to rub her ears. Her ears are like velvet. He said, Mom, her ears are so he's always making me feel her ears, and he'll go to sleep.
Where does she sleep at?
She sleeps with him.
How?
She sleeps, so his bed is, long ways, so she'll sleep. He puts her on the back side.
Okay.
Because he said if she's on the front side, she hogs all the bed.
Okay.
And so, they go to bed every night. We don't even really tuck him in anymore. I mean, this was like a routine we'd had all his whole life. We went in there, we got him tucked in, and now he's just like, it's time for bed, Stella, let's go. Good night. And off they go, and he gets her situated in the bed, and I just go in there and turn the light off and shut the door and say goodnight. And he sleeps. And when I say crippling, like, his panic attacks were debilitating, and the insomnia, he would just get so worked up with that. And then, the panic attacks from the trauma he'd experienced in the past, with some school system issues at prior schools and stuff, and it was really hard for him. And I think he's had 3 panic attacks, like hardcore, like full-blown panic attacks in the 9 months that we've had Stella, and she was able to ground him and get him down. And she just knows, and she gets on his lap, and it doesn't matter where it is. I mean, we've been in the computer room, and getting him to the floor was the issue, like getting him out of that moment where he's not wanting to, hurt himself or, throw something, and get him to the ground. And she just climbed right on him, and she's helped him with school, meltdowns were a daily, and sometimes lasting from 4 to 7 intermittently every day until this year.
How do you and Jason, now that the diagnosis is a bit behind you. Things are a bit better managed. How do you and Jason take care of each other when there's no Noah, no Stella, and you guys get to just kind of decompress?
That's exactly what we do. I mean, sometimes we just kind of sit there and quiet, and we'll just kind of sit together and be like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? And so, we kind of, a lot of times we'll go get breakfast or whatever if he has a day off, and just kind of enjoy some time together. We like to go for walks, so if we get a chance, we'll go out and go on a nature trail or something. And we really just spend time together because we actually lived in Michigan, in like Genesee County, Michigan, so a little further north. And Jason was working in Toledo. That's
why you said down to Detroit, because you lived in the Flint area, right?
Yeah, I lived in the Flint area. Yeah. So, we didn't, there for quite a few years, it was just me trucking along. And we let our daughter get through high school, and then we made the transition. We didn't want to pull the older kids out of school, and we made the transition down here. And what a difference it was having another person to help me full-time, and give me the rest that I needed. And I think that's really when my self-care journey was able to start, because I had respite care, I could use it, but I was afraid to use it.
Sure.
What if this person wasn't experienced enough? We've been told Noah's, they broke the mold when they created Noah.
Absolutely.
That's what they told us.
He was almost, and I say this with deep reverence, he was almost constructed in a lab. Yeah. And I'm actually kind of jealous. And if I had to make a $10,000 bet of someone changing the world for the better, and whether it's like 10 years from now or 23 years from now, I'm going to read in Wikipedia, what's Noah's last name?
Henderson.
That Noah Henderson has built a rocket to get us out past the Kuiper Belt, that's the end of the solar system, and he's going to control it from NASA. I'd be like, I spoke to his mom and I had him on the radio show. I would make that bet right now.
Yeah.
What's his favorite food?
I'd probably say pizza or pasta.
What's his favorite topping on pizza?
Pepperoni and sausage. Pepperoni is definitely the number one go-to.
What's her favorite food, people food, or is she just a trash compactor?
We actually do not give her people food. So she just has some special treats that she likes, and it just depends on the given day. Stella just loves food. So if you gave her people food, she's going to eat it all and she's going to love it all. Stella gets very excited when she gets her treats for doing her exercises or commands or just a special treat because, Noah's, in the mood to give her a treat. She loves to sneak the ice cubes. So, I'll sneak her ice cubes and Noah will say, like, she's not supposed to have ice cubes. That's not real food. Why are you giving her ice cubes?
He's always watching you. He's worse than Santa Claus.
And just so you know, he can multitask. So when you meet Noah might be sitting here doing something over here, talking to you, and you're thinking that boy's not paying attention, and he will repeat back verbatim what you said.
We got into the multitasking at work era in the 2000s or something. Every job posting said, an ability to multitask. No one might know this, and he could correct me if he hears this, but it is humanly impossible to successfully multitask. You can, but you won't do it well. I actually think I am most proficient and efficient when I am doing multiple things at one time, when I'm juggling lots of balls. It brings out like a positive mania in me, and I'm sure he's much the same way.
Yeah. Do you think it kind of helps you?
It focuses.
Yeah, focus, because I didn't understand that with him for a long time, and we've had moments where, people don't think he's paying attention to them or whatever, and
he is. You're just not giving him enough to keep his mind active.
He hears every word you're saying, and even I'll even do. I'll be like, "Are you listening to me?" And then he'll repeat back, "I don't know why you didn't think I wasn't listening to you. Do you think I'm listening to you now? I just, and then he'll just ramble off whatever it was that I'm like, okay, why do I even ask? I mean, he is so amazing, and I feel very blessed that, he chose us. to be in his life. And, Stella completes him so wonderfully. And I think that she's allowed him to see a part of himself that he didn't know he had, too. Mm-hmm. And he's very proud of himself for that. And he'll all be like, well, aren't you proud of me? I did this today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, aren't you proud of yourself? Well, that's not what I asked. Are you proud? Well, absolutely, I'm proud of you. And then he'll, we work it through, and I'd be like, it's okay to be proud of yourself.
It's a humble. I can inverse these words. It's a humble arrogance or an arrogant humility. I totally get it.
Yes, and and some people kind of get taken back by that, because he's very black and white.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a filter, and some people can roll with it and just brush it off their shoulders and not take it personally, and other people are like, that is so rude. And I'm like, that's just Noah. Mm-hmm. He doesn't, he doesn't know what rude is, but he'll be the first person to tell you you're being rude because you won't let him have that black crayon or something,
He will, whatever he does, hopefully he will be appreciated for his authenticity and candor. And with that are going to come some biting remarks that maybe people need to hear. But I hope he can reach a point where I've surrounded people, and I know that I upset people at times, but they do appreciate the authenticity, because really that's all we want from people. We want transparency and authenticity, and he can lead the way with that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it. We're done.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Chief Armstrong with Toledo Fire and Rescue. 68 Words has been a production of the Ability Center, hosted by Cumulus Media's Eric Chase. Engineering provided by Will Mellon and executive produced by Mallory Crooks. If you, your group, organization, or business is interested in hosting a disability awareness experience or have other inquiries, please contact info@abilitycenter.org. Until next time, think differently.